Thanks. In March of 2002, I backed my 1989 Ford Tempo out of my driveway at 132 East Main Street in New Auburn, Wisconsin, population 485, and drove to New York City. It took me 2 days. I parked the Tempo in the Bronx, caught a bus into Manhattan, hoofed it to a skyscraper on East 53rd Street, and caught an elevator to the 17th floor. The doors opened to the headquarters of HarperCollins Publishing. "Yes," said the receptionist, her tone implying she was weighing whether to call the cops or the custodian. Couldn't blame her, confronted as she was by a perspiring, long-haired hick in logger boots, Walmart jeans, and a camo cap, and carrying who knows what in that backpack. A trespasser of this configuration steps across the threshold. Your first thought isn't, "Oh, this must be the publicity department's 3 o'clock. But she checked, and I was on the list. After years of scrabbling and self-publishing and false starts, I'd sold a memoir, Population 485, to HarperCollins. It was my first ever deal with a major publisher. The book was due out in the fall, and they had committed to send me on a book tour. I'd never been on an official book tour and figured this might be my only chance. In order to get the most out of it and perhaps earn another, I figured I should get myself educated on the process. So I'd called and made this appointment. I was led to a back office where 3 people waited: the head of publicity, seated behind her desk, and a pair of publicists, perched shoulder to shoulder on a couch and clad in matching black turtlenecks. "So, how can we help you?" said the head of publicity, her tone a tad askance. "I want to learn about book tours," I said. "What is it you want to know?" "How they work," I said, "and how to get the most out of one." "Well, your book has a limited promotional budget." I figured. I'm an unknown writer from the Midwest. "We're sending you to 5 cities. "Which 5? "Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Louis, Kansas City maybe, and New York, of course. We cover all of your travel expenses, meals, airfare, lodging, and we put you up in very nice hotels." "First," I said when she finished, "I'm grateful for every bit of it, and I'm your basic good little Midwestern soldier. Whatever you set up, I'll do everything I can to make it successful." Everyone nodded, and yet their smiles were fixed in a manner suggesting they still weren't sure why I was there. Or perhaps they smelled something on my boots. "I'm just wondering," I said, "if there's a way to get me to more places." "Well, the budget," I get the budget. I'm fine with the budget. But by the time you pay for airfare to 5 big cities and pay for nice hotel rooms in those cities, well, we want you to have a nice experience. I don't want a nice experience. I want to sell books. It sounds snippy on the page, but I said it sincerely. "Nobody knows me in those big cities," I said. "Plus, in those places, people can see famous authors. I do a reading in New York City, I'll be lucky if 5 people show up, and 3 of them will be homeless." I maybe shouldn't have said that, but I said that. "But the budget, what if you take that same budget, and instead of spending it on airfare and nice hotels, you spread it out? Send me to smaller cities and towns across the Midwest, places where I have half a chance of somebody showing up. Make the stops 3 to 5 hours apart. You pay for the gas, I'll drive myself." With the unison of a chorus line, The two turtlenecked fellows on the couch leaned forward, pressed their palms to their chests, and as if I had announced I was going to launch my own moon rocket, exclaimed, "You'll drive yourself?" "Well, I thought I might," I said. "I come from a long line of truckers." That addendum was a skosh hyperbolic, although in truth, the first time I ever laid eyes on Manhattan, it was from the shotgun seat of my Uncle Stan's 18-wheeler. We'd been hauling cheese. Having piqued their interest, I plowed ahead. By the end of the meeting, we'd agreed to trade the jet planes and five-star hotels for my 89 Tempo and a discount motel series until the gas money ran out. 20-plus years and 20-plus books later, I'm still writing and touring. Population 485 is still finding readers. And if I hadn't made that trip to Manhattan, I doubt it would have played out this way. I haven't sold 1 million, but I've sold a bunch. I can't coast, still have to hustle. But sometimes when I'm out there feeling up at another truck stop or typing up the next thing or packing another box of books, I wonder what I'd be doing if I'd settled for what they offered me. If I'd tried to make my case with a phone call rather than a face-to-face. If I hadn't backed that Ford Tempo out of my driveway and drove like a doofus to the Big Apple. Maybe I'd still be making it. Maybe not. But how relieved I am I set up that meeting, and how grateful I am that they took it and listened and followed through. That night, I headed back to Wisconsin. Only a few months had passed since the planes hit the World Trade Center towers. As I crossed the George Washington Bridge, I could see the twin xenon beams of the Tribute and Light rising ramrod straight into the sky. 2 days later, I was back in my driveway, back to writing from the middle of nowhere.